Hey y'all, it's your girl Hope TV Movie Bestie, and I watch good shit, and I'm currently watching The Neighborhood. Let's get into episode 13. All right, this was the episode that I have been waiting on. Well, kind of, sort of. Y'all see when I get into it. All right, so we open up with Malcolm. He's playing a little game with Daphne, and he injures his back. Now, this keeps him from going to the Usher concert with Mercedes, so Tina, she goes instead. They have a little bonding moment. Now, they have a good old time at the Usher concert because if you know, you know, and baby, I know. Mercedes, she does the little cherry thing that Usher does, and so does Tina. But Mercedes, she gets on camera. So Calvin, he's like, I know Tina went out there doing that. So he gets a little jealous about the whole cherry situation. And everybody's like, Calvin, it's just fun. Like, she married to you. She can't get with Usher. Usher married too. And Calvin's just like, that ain't the point. So, anyways, Dave, he hosts a HR seminar at Gemma's school. And so things are going kind of good until everybody starts voicing their opinions about Gemma. And basically, they're like, Gemma, she don't care about her job. She ain't invested in her job no more. Like, she just there. And so, Dave is kind of like, that's my wife they talking about. Marty and Courtney are back this week. Now, the ring is in, and Marty is finally ready to propose to Courtney. Now, he has planned. He's going to do it on April 5th. Something with Star Wars. You know, they into that stuff. After the concert, we go back to Mercedes and Malcolm. So Mercedes, she has come in, she's checking on Malcolm, like, you all right, baby? And he's like, He said, so I heard about this cherry situation. And she's like, oh, you're just having a good time. And she said, don't even worry about that. She's like, I've been to the Usher concert 3 times. He done fed me cherries. I done took a rose from Harry Styles. I done twerked on Drake. And Malcolm is like, all right, you ain't got to tell me everything you've been doing. And so she's like, the point is, tonight, she said, usually, Usher grinds a little bit on me and I grind a little bit on him. And she was like, but tonight, I ain't even do that. She said, because I was thinking about you. And he was like, really? And she's like, yeah. She said, I know we only been together a few months. And she's like, but I've never felt like this about anybody. And he said, you do know you've been married twice before. And she's like, yeah, what's your point? So he's just like, okay. And she said, it's very different with you. Like, this is the best relationship I've had. And so Malcolm is kind of like, me too. Like, I know it's real early in the game. And he's like, but I feel strongly for you, because earlier in the episode, he had been talking to Calvin. And, he was like, Dad, am I behind? He's like, because Marty, he already got a child. Him and Courtney, they doing their thing. And he's like, the reason I hurt my back is because I'm old. And he's like, I was just hanging out with my niece. And so Calvin is like, Malcolm, don't worry about that. He's like, you on your path, you doing your thing. You just graduated from school. You've written a best-selling book. Like, you got your own house. Like, you're doing your thing. And so I thought this was a great lesson, because this is a lesson for everybody that, like, we're not in a competition of life. We are in our own lane. And what is for you is for you. Like, you're not in competition with your family, your friends, none of that. Like, your only competition is yourself. And anything that is for you is always going to be for you. It's never going to miss you. You're never behind. You're never late. Like, you're right where you're supposed to be. And if something hasn't come into your life, then that just means it's not the time for you. And just because your friends have it, or your sister, or your brother, or somebody else has it, that doesn't mean anything. It just means that it's their time. But your time is coming, and everything meant for you is always going to be for you. It's never going to miss you. And matter of fact, it's just going to keep circling you until you're ready to receive it, and then you'll have it. So, Calvin and Malcolm, they have this talk, and Malcolm's like, you're right, Dad. So him and Mercedes now are talking. And so he says, Mercedes, I love you. Like, I know it's been a short time, but I'm in love. And she's like, me too. I'm in love as well. And so he's like, well, I'm about to do something kind of crazy. And I said, I know he ain't about to propose to her. And he goes, it's crazy because I ain't got no ring. And she's like, and he says, Mercedes, will you marry me? And she's like, yes. So they engaged. I said, whoa. Okay. So happy for them. Tina and Calvin, now they talking. Because Calvin, he's still mad about this whole cherry thing. Calvin decides he's going to do his own little cherry performance. So you haven't seen Usher in concert. Why? Why haven't you? Like, it's worth every single cent. But anyways, so Usher does like this thing in a fur coat, you know, this long fur coat. So Calvin, he done got him a coat. He got him a red coat. He got him some sunglasses. You know, he think he fine. So he doing the little cherry thing with Tina. Tina's like, ah. And so in bus Marty. And so Marty's like, whoa, what y'all doing? No. And Calvin's like, this is why you need to start knocking. And so he's like, all right, yeah, whatever. So Marty's in the house. So then here comes Gemma and Dave. Calvin is like, why is everybody in my house? And so then next thing you know, here comes Mercedes and Malcolm. And so he's just like, okay, what y'all want? And so Malcolm and Mercedes, they announced that, you know, they're getting married and all this. And everybody's like, oh my gosh, they're so excited. So Marty is in the back and Marty comes to the front and Marty's like, bruh, what? And he's like, why are you stealing my thunder? And he's like, you know, I have been planning for months to propose to Courtney. And now, and so here comes Courtney, because Courtney, this whole episode, she been sick. So she been at the house. So she come in looking a hot mess. And she's like, wait, Marty, what you say? And Marty's like, girl, give me a minute. And so he's like, how come I can't believe you did this? Da, da, da. And then he's like, oh, Courtney, hey. And she's like, did you say you was going to propose to me? And he was like, you heard that. And so he said, yeah, I've been planning this. And so he's like, you know, will you marry me? And in a plot twist, she goes, no. And everybody's like, no, what? So she says, Marty, look at me. I look a mess. She in a bathrobe. She in sweats. You know, she's red. She's stuffy, sneezing, coughing. And she's like, this is like the best day for me to remember, you know, getting proposed to. And she's like, I don't want to remember it like this. And so he's like, but you're not saying no, right? You just saying no, like not right now in this moment. And so he's like, okay, cool. And so he said, well, don't make any plans for April 5th. And she's like, okay. And so they're engaged. Everybody's all happy and excited. You know, Tina really excited because she's like, baby, I'm about to get 2 weddings. Like, so they're having a blast. The only other thing that happened in this episode was Gemma and Dave had a talk. So after Dave did the HR seminar, he pulled Gemma aside and he was like, you know, your staff got a lot of complaints about you and like how you've been acting at work and all this stuff. And so she's like, you know, they're not wrong. And she's like, when Grover was here, I was really enthused. Like, I really cared about school. And she's like, but now that he's not, I just feel like I'm just helping rich families, you know, get their kids into Harvard. And she's like, it's not the same. And she's like, I just don't have the same passion for it. And Dave is like, well, why you ain't say nothing? And she's like, I don't know, you know, because it's a good job and it's good money. And like, what else I'm going to do? And so he's just like, we should talk about this more. So that was the episode. But I'm excited. Marty and Malcolm are getting married. Like, so what we gonna have? We're gonna have a double wedding? Like, so what a great way for the season to end, because you know we're in the final episodes, y'all. I think we got like 7 more episodes left, I think. But anyways, do y'all love the neighborhood? Because I do. Like, subscribe, follow. I'm on all the socials, Your TV Movie Bestie, and I will see you next week. Bye, y'all.